Good afternoon. We're here today to talk about removal from eligible lists because of failure to pass a psychological exam. The way the hiring process for firefighters and law enforcement officers in civil service goes in New Jersey is that first, there's a job opening. It's posted. Then the applicant will submit an application and take a test for the job. If the applicant passes, he will be put on a list of eligibles for hire. His place on the list will be based on the ranks which are determined by the scores on the test. If his number on the list is reached, then the appointing authority, the town or the governmental body that is going to be hiring for the position, will make a conditional offer of employment, and the conditional offer of employment will be based on passing a medical examination, a background investigation, and a psychological examination. You'll be told when, where to go for your psychological evaluation. The reviewer will give written and oral examinations, and based on those results will generate a report finding the applicant fit or unfit. If the applicant's unfit, they will be removed from the list. You'll get notice in the mail. Generally, it's a white piece of paper, a little bit smaller than a regular page of legal paper. And when you get that, you need to look at the date on it. And you'll have 20 days from the date to file a written notice of appeal with the Civil Service Commission. When that happens, a copy will go to the appointing authority, which will then have 20 days to give the Civil Service Commission the entire record, including background investigations, application, and the medical and psychological reports. You'll have 90 days from the date that you file that notice of appeal to submit your own psychological evaluation. In other words, you'll get a psychologist or a psychiatrist of your choice, have them examine you, and if they find you fit, submit the report in your defense. That's probably the most critical part of the appeal. We have some great psychiatrists and psychologists that we work with that are very fair, very exacting, and don't take anything that the prior evaluator said at face value. Once that's done, the Civil Service Commission will look at those submissions, and it has two choices. It can either decide the matter on the papers that are submitted, or it can refer to a medical review panel. If a psychological report is submitted by the job applicant, it almost always goes to a panel. At the panel, an independent body of professional psychologists or psychiatrists will look at the papers, and if you choose to appear, which you have the right to do, examine you. They're generally pretty fair. They're looking for a few things. The first thing that they're looking at is your credibility. A, how you present yourself, and whether you seem to be credible, honest, and that's based on a few things. One is how you present yourself, but also there's a record that's coming in. There's the written test that you gave at the psychological interview, as well as your background investigation and the application that you submitted. So on that, you'll give a bunch of information. For instance, your criminal history, whether you were ever sued or sued anyone, your job history, your health history, your drug and alcohol use. That should be consistent between your job application and what you told the psychologist. It should also be consistent with the background investigation. For instance, if you failed to disclose drug use or alcohol use that came up in the background investigation, or a criminal conviction or an unproven charge, that will show that you're not being honest and will hurt you for credibility. The second thing that they look at is for when your symptoms of a prior mental or emotional condition occurred. So for instance, what they're looking for is, say, in post-traumatic stress disorder, whether the symptoms are recent or whether there's been a significant period since you had any symptoms of the condition. Again, it's important to disclose that, and if the initial psychological evaluation says that you had recent symptoms and you haven't, it's important for the second doctor, your own psychologist or psychiatrist, to make clear that you haven't had recent symptoms, and if there's anything that you can get in writing or testimony from anyone else, that's also very important. We represent civil servants of all types, particularly firefighters and law enforcement officers, in appealing civil service actions, particularly psychological disqualifications from the list. Our goal is to get you back on the list so that you can be hired. There is no such thing as a slam dunk case, but we've had some pretty good success. And the Civil Service Commission and the Medical Review Panel tend to be pretty fair. So if you're knocked off the list for failing a psychological evaluation, don't think it's the end of the world. There are legitimate, fair appeal routes, and we're glad to help you. Just give us a call at 973-890-0004 or fill out the contact form on this webpage. Thank you.